It's Hollie's Hotspurs, welcome back. Talking Tottenham every week, no better place to be sat. If it's a win, lose, draw, we'll be here for a chat. Best believe we tackle topics like Romero in the back. Young Min Son, what can go wrong when he's on form? It's a dream come true, so sit back, relax and vibe with us. Special guests every time here to discuss. Bring your passion, come along for the ride, and don't forget to subscribe, cause...
Hello and welcome to another episode of Hollie's Hotspurs Live. Unfortunately, we do have a 2-2 draw against Bournemouth to talk about. I mean, it could have been worse. It could have been a loss. It might well have been a loss, but we got away with the skin of our teeth. Very, very lucky. And to do so with me tonight, I am joined by three fabulous guests. First of all, the man, the myth, the legend, Formz, the man that created the intro song. How are you, my man?
Good, I'm good. Thank you for having me back. I'm listening to it. I definitely do need to make you another one, so I've just put it in my calendar to do tomorrow. So hopefully my next show you'll have one.
Oh,
anyway, thanks for having me though. That was a side chat.
No, thank you, Formz. Yeah, there's a few players in there that after yesterday's performance, I'm sure we'll get into it. I don't really want in the opening credits.
Okay.
But no, thank you for that, Formz. It's great to have you on. Also joined again by Patrick. Patrick, it's amazing to have you on. How are you, my friend?
Yeah, I'm good, man. It's always good when I get the invite or the call up. So yeah, I had to answer, and yeah, I'm here, man. Great to be on with Formz and Harry, and looking forward to catching up with you guys and chopping it up. Obviously, the game is almost like, it is what it is. But yeah, all good, man. Happy to be here.
Amazing stuff, Patrick. It's great to have you here as well. And Harry, making his debut on the show. How are you, my friend, and welcome.
Yeah, I'm perfect, thank you. Thank you very much for having me on. Looking forward to getting into it.
Yeah, it should be a good one. I mean, we've got a lot to dissect. I've always said every Monday's a bit of a therapy session, and I feel like this one is going to be like that too. But without further ado, like I say, this show is sponsored by The Tabletop. If you like me, getting into your Pokemon, a proper nerd at the minute, make sure you go check them out to get your Pokemon cards and board games. But let's leave all that to later on, because we've got a 2-2 draw to talk about. Now, Formz, I come to you. I feel like I was going to say your overall thoughts on the game, and that pretty much sums it up. What did you make of it?
We got lucky and stole 2 points off Bournemouth. Like, that first half was abysmal. Within the first 10 seconds, they could have put one away. That kind of set the tone. I think in that the first major thing that happens in a game, whether it's a team breaks or a defender puts in a ridiculous tackle or whatever it is, that sets the tone for at least that first half. And I think that really shook us, and it shook the fans as well, because I did not hear a single thing from that South stand other than when Mickey van der Ven came on and when we scored the 2 goals. And that really threw me, because I'm sitting there ready to be the 12th man and no one else seemed to want to do it. And I'm like, great. So the game's not going well. We're not helping the team. The team aren't playing and giving us a reason to go, yeah, let's go. And it's just gone to shit. And then, Sarr, you beautiful man, Sonny, that was a very dangerous penalty, but happy days, and here we are with a point.
I think you pretty much summed it up right there in terms of, it was a bit abysmal, wasn't it, Patrick? I mean, what was your kind of overall thoughts of the game? Because it didn't really start great, did it?
Yeah, we were shaky at best to begin with. And I think teams know if you come at us with at full tilt, heavy metal, all guns blazing, we're going to pretty much fold and crumble. Like, as much as we like to do this high octane pressing, we can't handle it when it's the other way around. And Bournemouth, obviously one of the best pressers in the league, they just came at full energy, full steam, and Romero being shaky, that was a weird pass that he tried to do, loft it across the pitch. Obviously, Evan Nilsson should have scored. Vicario thankfully came to our rescue, and Vicario, if it wasn't for him, again, it's pretty much the same theme every game now. If it's not for Vicario, we're either losing the game or we'll be well out of sight. So thankfully he kept us in it in the first half, and obviously we were lucky to even go in 1-0 down. Booze at half time, very flat. He made the subs and we kind of came out a bit better in the second, but just worrying that Ange can't seem to get the boys going in the first half. No matter what he does, no matter the tweaks, no matter the formation, we're just really flat and lethargic in the first half. Almost like the players are scared to actually be themselves. It's like they're drilled into playing a certain way that doesn't suit them, and then regardless, irrespective of what they want to do, they're forced to play out from the back, overplay it. The fans then start getting nervous. You can feel that nervous energy creeping in, and it just makes it very easy to play against, very predictable, and we just kind of keep going around in the same cycle, and it's really boring now. Gone are the days of this high octane, high, inventive, free flowing, one touch football, and we just look a shell of our former self, man. It's boring, to be honest. I find it like a chore going to games now. I have to almost force myself to go to the games, and it's a sorry state of affairs when you feel yourself in that kind of mode.
And that's the thing; it's the same telltale signs all the time, Harry, isn't it? What did you kind of make of the game on Sunday?
Well, Formz is completely right. I mean, I was sat in the South Stand, and from minute one, it was quite a toxic atmosphere. I think all Spurs fans knew exactly how it was going to go as soon as Romero did that crazy pass across the back line. But obviously, we quite frankly, we can't begin games like that if we want to have any sort of seriousness about our Europa League campaign, because Thursday night is going to be the biggest game of the season so far. And if we don't, if we start like we did against Bournemouth, then it's going to be a really, really toxic atmosphere. The Ange will notice that, and obviously, I think he made a comment about the atmosphere wasn't the best it could have been against Bournemouth. So we have to. And Son said, I think, in his post-match interview, who said that we can't make these sloppy starts. But time and time again, we've seen the players have said that. They've said similar things like, "Oh, we're going to learn from this. We're going to take things out of this game," but we don't actually see. It's all words. There's no action really done on the pitch at the moment. I think that's the most frustrating thing for us.
I think you put it perfectly, Harry, because I was going to get on to obviously Ange talking about his wise words in that press conference in terms of the fans not necessarily getting behind the team. And Formz, like Harry said, when you've got a shaky start like that, or you're seeing the same thing over and over again, and we're not winning games and we're not doing things convincingly, and the players are coming out saying the same things, in that kind of respect, you can't really have a go at the fans, so to speak, because they're having to watch it and witness that, and we're there throughout the whole thing.
I think it's a bit of a catch-22 because it's like the fans want to cheer the players for playing well, and the players aren't playing well, so we're not doing it. But the players kind of need the fans to cheer them on, so they give them a little bit more of that injection, and then they start playing well, which means that we'll start cheering them more, which means that they'll play well. So like it's either they start playing better and cause us to cheer more, or we start cheering more and causing them to play better. I went to Alkmaar last week, and I was sitting in the home section, but with the Spurs friends and family. So at least like we were vibing. And we were directly opposite the away fans. And we didn't hear a peep. Me, Jed Spence's mum and sister were the loudest three in the stadium. Like it was, and when Vicario and Maddison went up to the fans at the end of the game, and Madders did this, and Vicario was doing that, I was doing it with them. I was so annoyed at the away fans because yes, you're paying all this money and you're traveling and it's early and you're tired. You're on an away day in Europe. Just be loud. Just give the players something, because it's clearly not working on the pitch when there's however many AZ Alkmaar fans there were in the stadium screaming for their team. Just give them a little bit of something. Don't sit there and go, well, you're not playing, so we're not going to give. You're a fan. You're a supporter. Show your support. It's meant to be win, lose, or draw. I'm Tottenham till I die, regardless of who's on the pitch. And don't get me wrong, yesterday, I don't want to ever see a starting midfield three of Bentancur, Basuma, and Sarr ever again in my life. However, you're still meant to cheer the players. It doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense. And the one thing this really is therapy. I love you. The one thing is that really is baffling me right now is that all of the players, Kulusevski, Spence, Madders, they're all coming out in interviews and they're saying we want to play for this manager. So play for the manager. It's not making sense. They love him. The fans are like, you ain't got no ideas. But like, show us something that's backing what you're saying, because of the first few player interviews, I was like, oh, okay, cool. Maybe it's just the blip period. Maybe it's the injuries. Maybe it's this. Maybe it's this. Maybe it's that. It's clearly not, because there's a disconnect between. There's not a disconnect between the manager and the players. There's a disconnect now between not only the manager and the fans and the higher ups and the fans, but the players and the fans as well. So it's like, it's really difficult. I'm kind of talking myself into like why fans aren't really cheering and supporting right now. And it's just really difficult to be Spurs right now.
No, it really is. And I think that's the thing, without playing devil's advocate, the only way I can think that we're not getting behind the team as much as we were is when we weren't really seeing anything anyway. And I think, Patrick, seeing these kind of performances week in, week out, seeing a manager like playing that midfield that we kind of saw on against Bournemouth is, again, that kind of respect, in the sense of we haven't got anything really to cheer about. And it's hard to get up for games when you're seeing the same dross week in, week out.
Yeah, it's difficult. You know what? In a way, I kind of understood the lineup in terms of the midfield. I think he wanted to go with a bit of legs and almost mobility because you got Sarr in there to combat the Bournemouth essentially energy and juice, but it just meant there was no creative zip, and we weren't able to create or cut the lines. So yeah, I don't know. And with the fans as well, it's hard, isn't it? It's like Form said. It's literally it's like what comes first, the chicken or the egg? Fans want to get excited and have something to cheer about, but then also at the same time, the players need to give us something to cheer about. The players feed off the fans' energy, and it goes like that. But I do agree with what Form said as well. When I saw Vicario, I saw a big backlash and outburst after the game. And everyone was getting on Vicario about, he's wrong for doing that. I didn't really see much wrong with it. I thought Vicario was like, okay, cool, give us something. He was basically saying, let's unite and be together. And a lot of fans went crazy as, I hate this club, I hate the players, no one's likable. And I was like, wow, this is a bit much considering all he did is literally do that. And then, but I don't know. I think when things are this bad, anything is just magnified and everything becomes bigger than what it is. I do agree that we are awful at the moment. I do agree a lot needs to change, but I do think some of the stuff that we're moaning and complaining about isn't really what it should be. But yeah, with that being said, I think Ange just needs to. I mean, we're playing once a week now, or I mean, if we was in the Champions League, you'd have to go strong in every game, wouldn't you? I know we've had injuries and this and that, but some of the selections are a bit weird. So I just think he needs to get it right now. And obviously, it's crunch time on Thursday, and it's do or die.
100%. And the only thing I can see, Harry, in potentially him kind of starting that midfield is obviously, I don't want to repeat that game against AZ on last Thursday, but seeing Maddison and Son take that free kick is still living rent-free in my head as a nightmare. And that's my only reason why he didn't necessarily start Maddison, or maybe didn't start Bergvall to start with, because he wants them to do well against AZ. How did you kind of feel with that midfield selection?
I did feel that he was going to obviously give some of our better and players that we like to see start Thursday a rest, but I think to give that many of them start on the bench was slightly odd, because obviously it's a home game against Bournemouth. If we can get the result, then we can turn it around and we can try and push on for just even get into the top half of the table at the moment. But yeah, like you said, I don't ever want to see that those three start in midfield again, because there was no creativity there, and that's the main thing that we need. With Kulu out as well, we need someone, and it is Maddison that's going to create our through balls. And whereas Maddison and Son, I mean, it was one mistake, the free kick. It was embarrassing, but it's not, for me, it's not enough to drop a player just based on one set piece that's gone wrong. I think it was wrong to leave Maddison and Son out the starting 11. I get Son, but in a game where we're trying to break down a very strong Bournemouth side, we needed creativity in there. And for me, Brennan Johnson is not the answer. Odobert is young, he's raw, he's not had the experience yet to break down defences like Bournemouth. So yeah, it was definitely, I personally, I would have gone with Bentancur, Sarr and Maddison, or even Bentancur, Bergvall, Maddison, because I just don't think, I think Basuma's really declined, unfortunately, recently. But yeah, I think against Alkmaar, I definitely want to see Bergvall, definitely want to see Maddison, and Bentancur suspended. So I'd probably stick Sarr in there as a holding midfielder.
That's a great shout, Harry. I mean, I'm going to stay with you because obviously we did go behind, not early on in the game, but it could have been early on. And for me, that goal was kind of inexcusable the way it kind of happened. The second goal we'll get onto later, I can kind of see it was a great goal. But the first one, for Pedro Porro to pass the ball like the way he did, trying to find Johnson, it never really worked out, did it, very well? It's inexcusable, isn't it?
It just summed up the first half. The start we had, everything was sloppy, everything was lackluster, it was mediocre. Honestly, I mean, you can use every adjective under the sun that you want to use, because that's exactly what it was. There was nothing positive from that first half an hour that we could take from it, and it just shows the level of hunger that Bournemouth had, that they win it back through Kirkes, and he sprints nearly a lap of the pitch to find a spot. I mean, it was an unbelievable cross. I don't think many players can pick out a cross like that, but it was just such a poor pass from Porro. And then, but even, on the other side, on the other hand, Johnson really should be anticipating that Porro is going to play that ball. And it was just, and then Johnson jogging back as well. I mean, if we lose it that high up the pitch, you've got to be sprinting back to try and shut down the cross. We didn't, and then we paid the price for it. And it was an excellent goal from Bournemouth, so credit to them. But for us, it just summed everything up that went wrong in the first half, definitely.
100%. And it's the most annoying thing, because we've spoken about silly errors in terms of, we could talk about Romero for ages in his performance. But it was just one of those things, Patrick. I know we've spoken a lot and it is depressing. I mean, we have drawn the game, but there's a lot of players in this team that seem to switch off in moments like that. And I know Porro's played a lot of minutes, and that might be the why he is. But we have had 8 days off. Oh no, sorry, not 8 days off. We have had 8 days off prior to this. So you would have think there's a bit more gas kind of in the tank and a bit more mentality there.
I just think the system doesn't suit the players. I think you're putting a lot of square pegs in round holes, and that's why you get all these disjointed passes and connections. And you get, like Harry said, you get players that aren't really covering for each other. Porro does a lot of running every game, up and down, and no one covers for him. Defensively, he's not the best anyway, but then when you keep leaving him exposed, that causes problems. He's asked to do a lot of, essentially he's doing a lot of work which the winger should be doing. Why is he that high up the pitch trying to thread passes when that's not really his game? Obviously the pass was really easy to read. Kirkes ran onto it, and like you guys described, the rest is history. And then you just got like Romero trying to play out and play balls that he's not comfortable doing. You've got a lot of people doing stuff that they're not really comfortable doing, and then it just leads to problems and errors. And you know, a lot of players are then out of position. And it just, causes problems. Even with the cross that Kirk has put in, Spence should have tracked the runner as well, which I think was Tavernier. Could have done better there. I'm not really going to get onto Spence because he's been brilliant, but he did switch off, and that moment did cause a goal. So you just got all of these problems, and I just struggle to think of how many players are actually looking better than they did last year or improved. And I think when there's that many issues, it does boil down to the manager, the system, the way he's setting these guys up, and what he's asking of them. Because yes, some of these players do need to be moved on, and yes, some of them aren't as good as what we maybe thought they were. But there's no way the squad is as bad as the performances and as bad as the league position suggests. So I do think there is a problem with the manager and the way he's setting us up.
I think so as well. I think it's very difficult because Formz, there's been a lot of times this season where I've sat there and I think, why on earth is he doing that? And the same with, obviously, at half time, I was thinking, you need to change it up, mate. And he did and brought Bergvall on, thankfully. But for you, is it, again, that Ange hasn't really mustered how to set Spurs up? Or do you think it's because of all these injuries? It's very difficult. So I think even prior to these injuries, we had a lot of problems.
It is, and I hate having to keep falling back on the injury thing, but if we had injury problems for a month, fine. But it's been long-term injuries consistently for months and months and months. So it's not like something that people can go, oh, well, you were complaining about injuries in November. Why are you still complaining about them in March? Because we've only just got our players back. So it's been like that. And I think that I don't necessarily agree, Patrick, in terms of the players don't fit the system, because when they're all fit, it works. And when it works, it works. And we saw it last season. We saw it at the start-ish of this season. And it was like, okay, cool. We're doing something good here. We don't have a backup plan in terms of the way that we play. And, we don't have enough depth to trust players to do what Ange wants them to do. Shit. And then it kind of just got into a case of, all right, we're really trying. When we didn't have the fully fit squad, fine, it was really trying to shove square pegs into round holes. But now I think it's over the next few weeks, it should get slightly better, because I think yes, his performance yesterday wasn't great, but when you've got Van der Ven and Romero playing next to each other, it gives the rest of the team this confidence that, okay, everything's going to be all right. And when you've got someone like Maddison, when he plays well and he's kind of leading from the front kind of vibes, and he's doing his thing, it gives the rest of the team a little bit of confidence. Oh, okay, cool. If we make a little mistake, Madders is there. When Sonny's on point, cool. He leads with his performances, and that's why people are saying he's not fit to be a captain. I completely disagree. I think when Son's on it, people look at that and that really influences them on the pitch. And the way that he talks off the pitch as well, I think he's definitely captain material, but that's a story for another day. What I'm trying to say is, I just think it's been an absolute shit show. Can I swear? I never asked you this.
Go for it.
Okay. It's been an absolute shit show for months. And that's because we've tried to force players who aren't, I don't know, they might have the potential to play in these positions and play the way that Ange wants them to, but we're trying to force players into doing things that they've never done before. And it's not even like, okay, cool, we're going to throw you in here, throw you in there. It's like, no, you have to play 90 minutes twice a week for 3 months, and you have to just get it right. And then there's no recovery time. That takes a massive toll on your mental state. The fans aren't happy with you. The manager's probably screaming and shouting at you. And it's like, okay, well, we can't really win here. I feel like there's been a massive grip on Tottenham's throat for the past few months, and like no one's been able to breathe, because if you put another foot wrong, that's it, you're out of 2 cup competitions that you probably could have at least given a go, and all of a sudden you're falling down the pecking order and you could be in a relegation scrap, and it's like the hand hasn't been able to get loose at all. And I think having Solanke back and Van der Ven back and Romero back, I wasn't expecting any of them to hit it hard as soon as they came back, because it's injuries. You're not expected to do that. But over the coming weeks, I feel like that grip's going to get a bit looser. And then by May, I think Ryan Mason's going to have a great squad in front of him. So like, going to be fantastic going into pre-season.
Please don't do that to me, man. I can't think that far ahead. But I think you're right in a sense, Formz. I think it has been very hostile and very toxic, but I think at points this season and points in games, you're sat there thinking, I'm just fed up. And I think that's why that chokehold's got so bad. But obviously, Harry, it wasn't just over, obviously, in that game. We then obviously conceded another goal, which I kind of alluded to earlier. I didn't think was too much on Spurs. It was almost like a very well worked goal from Bournemouth, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and just before that, they had a fantastic goal ruled out for offside, and it was just so easy the way they string a few passes together, and then before you know it, the ball's in the back of the net again. It was way too easy, and the thing that annoyed me was Porro wimping out of a 50-50. He committed himself, and then at the last minute pulled out. And you simply can't do that in a team like Spurs. In a home game, you're 1-0 down. You need to fight, and it was a complete opposite. And then it was just so easy for them to walk through. And obviously, it was a great finish from Evan Nilsson, but a big hole between Van der Ven and Danso. But again, Kluivert just seemed to just waltz through the midfield, and the questions are, where were the midfield at that time? Because everyone was back, apart from I think Solanke and Son. We had pretty much 8 players behind the ball, and it just seemed so easy to craft a brilliant second, and that's when it got really toxic. And maybe that's actually a slight positive, is that it gave all our players a kick up the backside to just find some grit and determination and hunger to get the next goal. Because if we conceded a third, that's game over, and we're not coming back from that.
And obviously talking about, we did manage to come up with some sort of reply. And the thing that winds me up, I've spoken about this a lot of times on this show over the years, in a sense that we never seem to pull the trigger. Although we saw Bergvall pull the trigger out of nowhere, hit the post. Then we saw Sart. Now, bless him, I think he has tried to put a cross in. But you know what? If you don't shoot, you don't score, do you?
Yeah, I mean, it was... to me, it was definitely a cross. But the thing I wanted to highlight was how poor of a cross was that going to be if it was a cross, because it was going absolutely nowhere near Solanke. Son was nowhere near it. So if that was a cross, and I'm concerned for Sarr, to be honest. But look, it went in the back of the net, and that's all that matters. But that really did. It lifted the mood of the fans. A few didn't. A few around me didn't celebrate, because at that point it was like, yeah, whatever. It's about time we scored. But that definitely gave us a hunger. A bit more hunger than we actually had to go on and find the equaliser. But what did we see with the equaliser? We saw Maddison linking up with Son, which is what we missed from minute 1, I think.
Definitely, 100%. And that's the thing. It's always, for me, Formz, like, too many minutes too late. Do you know what I mean? Like, yes, great, we've managed to cut open Bournemouth right at the death, and I know Kepa was being a bit of a silly egg, but with that kind of said, like Harry said, you got Maddison, you got your creative player through to Sonny. It's like the good old days.
It's always a little bit too late though. Like, for as long as I can remember, we've always needed, like, even back in the days where we had like Holtby and Sigurdsson in the midfield, like even back, for as long as I can remember, we've always needed something to give us a kick up the backside. I've rarely seen us go heavy and hard from minute 1 and take a game by storm without having moments of the opposition going, oh no, we've got a chance here. And then it usually either takes us conceding, or on the flip side, us saving a penalty, or us scoring like a scrappy goal to prove, oh cool, well, we're in this game, we can actually do something here. And it really annoys me, because it's like, why can't 0-0 the kickoff whistle in a Premier League fixture be enough for all 11 of you to go, oh, we're playing football here in a £1 billion stadium with 60,000 people wanting you to do well? Why is that not enough? Why is it always, oh, we're 2-0 down. Oh, well, we probably fucked it. Oh, Saar, nice cross. Oh, it's a goal. Oh, we can score. Sick. All right, let's do this. And then managers going, all right, let's. And we've seen it time and time again with Poch and actually Mourinho did quite well in terms of his subs, I think. But Poch and Conte and Nuno and now Ange, it's like make subs early. Don't go, oh yeah, you haven't played well for 75 minutes, let's just give you 10 more minutes and then bring on an effective player. Like, I've never really understood that. So it's like, it's time and time again we see the same things, and we always need something major in a game to give us a kick up the backside, whether it's positive or negative. And it's like, I'm ready now just to go to the lane and be like, watch football. Ooh, let's go. And then 90 minutes goes by. I'm like, wow, I just watched a great game of football. I went to the Sidemen charity match. That was more entertaining than Tottenham Bournemouth in the Premier League. We're 10 points behind Bournemouth, by the way. 10 points. And do you know the maddest thing? We got a point and I was, oh, cool. Now we're 9 points behind. Oh, no, we played Bournemouth. They got a point as well. Sick. We're exactly where we were before the game started. Another rant over. Someone else's turn.
No, you're good. I think that's the thing. I think, like you say, it's just so frustrating that something needs to happen for us to finally get a kick up the butt, basically. But Patrick, obviously, I want to go back to what Harry said, obviously, with that cross that Sarr kind of did that turned into a goal. With Spurs, when we've got someone like Solanke, with the stature of Solanke, he's good in the air, he's always a target man. We never really seem to get crosses into the box. The only one that does that is Pedro Porro. And with that in mind, does that go back to how Ange is kind of setting us up? Because it seems to me we want to hit the byline and just hit it across the box. It's never really that cross that comes in.
Yeah, again, going back to what I said, it's like these guys are drilled to play a certain way, even if it doesn't suit them. Like you said, we've got Solanke, who's great at holding the ball up, good in the air. He's a big guy, and we never feed him. It's odd the way we play, and it's so drilled, it's so robotic now. And like you said, pass to the side, pass backwards, pass sideways, pass backwards. You zip it down one of the wings and try and cut across for Brennan Johnson to run in the back post, and it's so predictable and it's easy to play against. Where's the fluidity, the one-touch passing, the movement, the triangles? But last year you used to see Son, Maddison, and a few others linking up, moving around. Kulusevski, I know he's not in the team at the moment, but it's all of that is gone now, man, and it's just so laborious and so robotic, and
What
yeah.
does laborious mean? I'm clever as well. But I'm asking that. What is laborious?
It's just like it's boring, laborious. Yeah,
Tough to watch.
just tough to watch.
Okay.
It's poor, man, and yeah, I don't know. I scratch my head wondering what's going on, and I wonder why Ange just stands there for 90 minutes and doesn't change anything, doesn't bellow any instructions down to the sideline, doesn't interact with his bench, with his assistants, doesn't try and change anything. Like, you see the game's going in one direction and you never try and change it, mix things up. Yeah, he made subs at half time, which was good. But then I always question, why is it always the first half is just a write-off? Why is he always getting the first half completely wrong? So credit to him for making the changes, but also on the other side, how come you got it so wrong in that first half, knowing the team that we're playing against and knowing the way that they're going to come out and attack us? So, yeah, man, I don't know. I think obviously there's so much going wrong with this team, but I do think what Form said is right. Everyone needs to get behind the team on Thursday. No excuses. I think everyone needs to draw a line under what's happened and what's happening, and we go again, man.
Yeah, we have to. And I think that's the thing. I think, like we've kind of said, there's a few things that Ange has been winding me up about, and it is subs. And before we kind of move on to Thursday, Patrick, I want to stay with you because there was one player that I think's been playing very well, especially when we played AZ in October. And then we've kind of haven't really seen him much in the Premier League, and that is Mikey Moore. Where's the man gone? Does Ange not want to play him in the team sheet anymore?
Yeah, it's a really interesting one. I saw quite an interesting thread on Twitter, and a few people saying he's young, he's only 17, so you have to bear that in mind. A few other guys said he's not been that good, other than pretty much I think one assist that they said they talked about. But from what I've seen of him, and how impactful he's been when he's played in terms of actually taking his man on and creating chances and actually essentially sometimes it's not always just about goals and assists and what the stat like, it's about watching a player and what they actually bring, the energy, the passion, and that, like Form said, when you watch Son when he's at the peak of his powers, the way he plays inspires the other players to pick it up a bit. step it up a bit. Like when Solanke wasn't moving well yesterday, but typically when Solanke's pressing from the front, that invites others to step it up, like your Brennan Johnsons and your Richarlisons, for example, and they then start pressing, and then it just essentially, it builds through the team. So yeah, I thought Mikey Moore's been brilliant when he's played. It was strange that he didn't get no minutes. I don't know. It's an interesting one.
It is really interesting. I think for me, obviously, just because the AZ game's coming up again, he was wonderful in October when we played him. Absolutely, probably our best player on the pitch. We just haven't really seen enough of him, I don't think. But hey ho, we'll have to wait and see what kind of happens there. But before we move on, Formz, I want to talk about another man. I want to make it a bit more positive, and that is talk about Archie Gray, because that man has been absolutely sublime. And bless him, I think we've only possibly seen him once playing his actual position this season. So it'd be interesting to see what your takes are, as whether Ange is going to potentially play him further up the pitch where we would like to see him, or do you think at the moment where the likes of Romero and etc isn't playing to the best, Archie Gray's probably position is going to be centre back for the near future?
I think the beautiful thing with having 3 first choice centre halves back in the squad is that we can finally see Archie Gray in his position. Do I think he's going to start on Thursday? No. Do I think he should start on Thursday? He's definitely earned it. But I do think Thursday will be the first time we see him get a good maybe 20-30 minutes stint in the midfield, which really excites me, because the boy has literally turned up to this football club going, okay, I understand where I am in the pecking order. I'm going to get my chance maybe in Europe, maybe in some cups. And then a couple months in, he's gone, oh, you're going to be our starter. But little problem, we're going to need you to start at centre-back. And he's gone, yeah, cool, say no more. And he's just done it. No questions asked. And in every single interview, he speaks so well. And even around other professionals as well. So I was at the London Football Awards. Obviously, he won Young Footballer of the Year. He got up on stage in front of a room full of people that have been there and done it. And the way that he speaks as an 18-year-old in front of these people is insane. He's like, yeah, I'm given a task, I'm going to do it. I want to play for this team, not moaning like, oh no, this is my position and it's actually quite annoying that I have to play here, but I'm going to do it because, like, when am I going to get the shot? He's like, I want to learn, I want to grow, I will say I'll do whatever the manager wants me to do, wherever he wants to put me, no questions asked. And I think that's so mature of him to do and not complain. And yes, he's made his mistakes. And yes, sometimes when teams play us, they target his side of the field because he's not an experienced centre-back and he's 18 years old. But taking all of that in and taking all of that on, I think not only has he grown as a player in like a couple of months and it's going to benefit Tottenham in the long run, but I also think it's meant that he's very much earned his place as a starter in the squad wherever he wants to play. So yeah, big up Archie Gray. Hopefully he does get his minutes in midfield on Thursday, because that would be class.
Let's move to obviously Thursday, because Harry, like we've all kind of said, it's kind of judgment day for Ange and obviously us to win some silverware this season is much needed, to say the least. But for you, obviously going into it, how are you kind of feeling? Because obviously it's at home, we're 1-0 down and we've got to do something.
Very nervous, to be honest with you. That's the first sort of emotion I've got, is I'm scared, because that is make or break for the season. If we progress, then we're into the quarterfinals of the Europa League, where then I do believe we've got a strong chance. If we're out, then we've got absolutely nothing to play for the rest of the season. We've got obviously no chance the Premier League. Both cups are out of. So, and the other thing is, if we win the Europa League, then we're in the Champions League for next season, which would be obviously on paper a miracle based on how poor this season's been. But yeah, it's going to be the biggest night of our season. It's going to be under the lights, 8:00 kickoff. It's going to be a packed ground. But so from minute one, obviously the South Stand, the whole ground's got to get behind the boys, because it's going to be a game where if we start fast and we start quickly and hit them with an early goal, I believe it's one of those games where we can get 4 or 5 in before half time, kill the game off. Because when we, like Formz and Patrick were saying, when we start fast and we play our football, it bloody works. So if we can get an early goal, 2 or 3, then I think we'll be in perfect stead for the rest of the game. And then, because what we don't want is extra time or penalties. It's just extra minutes in the tank for players who, quite frankly, can be rested. Hopefully we'll see Jed Spence start right back and then play Doggy on the left, because I want Porro to have a rest, because he clearly hasn't got the legs at the moment. So yeah, so I'm just hoping that we can pick the right team and just not have a sloppy start. Go at them from minute one, just like we used to do at the beginning of Ange's reign.
100%. I hope you're right, Harry, because Jesus Christ, I need a refresh. I need something like that to kind of give to us on Thursday. But Patrick, how do you kind of see Anne shaping this one up? I know it's a very hard question to kind of answer, but how would you say like to set this team up?
Hopefully Romero and Van der Ven partnership in the middle of the park, so the centre back pairing. Jed Spence on the left, Porro on the right. Midfield, obviously Bentancur is out, so hopefully you go Basuma, Madison, and probably Sarr. And then you have to have Sonny on the left, Solanke through the middle. And on the right, he's definitely going to play Brennan Johnson. I wouldn't, personally. I don't think he's been good for a long time, but Brennan Johnson will definitely start. So that's probably your 11. And
Who
just
would
like Harry
you
said,
have put there instead of Brennan Johnson then? You can't tell me you're putting all your faith in Wilson Odobert.
Odebear's been better than Johnson in terms of actually trying to take his man on and actually create something. Yes, Odebear is raw, but at least he brings something to the table. If Brennan Johnson doesn't score, he literally does nothing in the game. And defensively, he's also poor as well. So, of course, Johnson's going to start. Of course, he will. But I just don't really understand that. And I don't understand why Johnson would pretty much play the whole game. But without being negative and taking it back to the game, I really think that's the 11 he's going to go with. And as long as we start sharp, I think we can actually blow this team away, man. I think if the crowd get behind them and the guys actually believe in themselves, we could easily win this game, 3 or 4-1 comfortably. And yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. I think that we'll beat them, and we'll beat them quite convincingly. Hopefully, it's like the perfect storm and everything comes together. Pretty much everyone's back now. Everyone's got minutes in the tank. Hopefully, the rustiness has been shaken out of their systems. And yeah, I'm looking for a big, big performance on Thursday.
Oh, we need one, don't we, Formz? I think that's the thing. I think we've all kind of alluded to, obviously, I was one of those people that kind of sat there and was like, I kind of get why fans aren't really in high spirits at the moment. But if we want to kind of stay in this competition, Formz, we've got to be behind the team from minute one.
I think I hate that I'm going to say this, but if you're not going to support the team on Thursday night only, when it's under the lights in a European competition, the only one that we're in, then it's not worth you going at all. Like, watch it and scream and shout at the team on the TV. Fine. Stay in the warmth. Fine. Don't get stuck in traffic or don't get stuck in queues on a train on the way home. It's the perfect night for you. But if you're going with the intention of just like shunning the team, it's so pointless, because this is the only competition where if we do see success from it, you're then going to be a happy fan again. Like, next season, do you want to hear, these are the champions? Or do you just want to sit with a bowl of pasta in front of the TV on a Thursday night, doing nothing? So just go and do your thing as a fan, please. And look, I completely disagree with the whole 11 of Patrick. I think we've got to start Lloris, Walker, Alderweireld, Vertonghen, Rose, Dembele, Ali, Ericsson, Son. None of them, then we're fucked.
Oh man, the glory days under Pochettino. The glory days.
The goosebumps I just got from that team.
What a team, man! What a team.
I'm just saying there was no Winks in that team, so I'm not very impressed with that form. So there's got to be a little bit of Winksy in there.
He's on the bench. I'm sorry. He's sitting with fucking, I don't know, Mikey Moore and Timo Werner.
Oh, bless him. But no, I think you're all right. It is going to be Judgment Day. I think if we do lose that game, I think Ange's head is kind of on a platter at this point, because again, I think the season's done, and then we'll have to sit with Mason at the helm. And I don't want to speak ill of something that hasn't happened yet, but Harry, I'm going to give you the difficult question. If we do see or say goodbye to Ange, hopefully this isn't the case, because hopefully we go through on Thursday. But who do you want in the ranks to come in as the new potential Spurs manager if we do hit that point?
Get Poch back. Bring him home.
No, surely not.
You don't agree?
Surely not. No, I don't.
Why's that?
Because he got given a blank check at Chelsea, and what did he do?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, no, it's a fair point, to be fair. I mean, I'm kind of speaking for the majority of Spurs fans who I've spoken to. They're saying bring Poch back, but then people are saying get Iriola in, but he's not going to leave Bournemouth for us. He's building a project there. Yeah. I don't want, there's no one else that's going to want to come to us, to be honest with you. I don't want, Potter or Conte, Mourinho, no one like that to come back. But then again, I don't want Ryan Mason either to, for the long run, because he simply isn't good enough to take us to the project that we're trying to build. So, to be honest, to answer your question, I'm not entirely sure at the moment who I want to bring back. Personally, I want Poch to come back for a second chance, but it seems like Formz doesn't agree with that. So, I'm
The
speaking
reason
for myself.
I'll tell you the reason why is because, don't get me wrong, I want him back because I want to be able to run it back and live those memories again. And the way that I think he can develop our young players into not just playing one system, but being able to adapt when things aren't going well. I think that's going to be key. But I also think having him back is a bit of a two-way street. We kind of, when he left, we kind of was like, okay, go and win your trophies and come back and bring that experience to Tottenham. But at the same time, like I kind of wanted him to go and for us to be in a better position for him to then come back and be like, okay, I've gone and done this, you've gone and done this, let's do it together. Where in actual fact, he's left, he's won a couple of like Ponzi trophies with PSG. He came to Chelsea and didn't do anything. And now he's gone to the US, I actually think he's going to do quite well out there. But like, he's gone out and maybe won a couple of things, and we've just declined. So it's like he left when we were in a certain position, and now he's going to come back to a house on fire. And it's like, I don't think he's the guy that's got that extinguisher. I think we've got to get ourselves in a better position before we can even invite him back. Otherwise, he's going to come back. Everyone's going to get nostalgic. And 4 months later, when we're 20th in the table, it's going to be a completely different story.
And it is... Oh, sorry, go on, Harry.
Oh no, I was going to say, I to be fair, I do see what Formz are saying there. But then actually, I've just been thinking whilst he's been speaking, perhaps Thomas Frank would be a good option because he's doing a fantastic job at Brentford at the moment, and many Spurs fans have said that they'd love him to come. But again, I doubt he would leave Brentford at the moment because every season they're getting better and better, pushing. Obviously, at the moment they're getting massive wins at home, away, and another team who are doing better than us this year, unfortunately. So, yeah, look. Again, I can't answer the question now, but I think time will tell. If we get through on Thursday, then Ange will stay at least till the summer. But if he goes, then we'll have Ryan Mason ball till May. So
bring it on.
I can't be dealing with that. I mean, Patrick, obviously, I know I feel like I'm speaking to the dead. Ange isn't dead, and Ange is not potentially going anywhere at the minute. But if it does come to that kind of point, are you kind of in the same boat? You're not really sure who we're going to get because who wants to come to Spurs at the minute?
Yeah, such a difficult question, isn't it? Because obviously, even me, I've never been Ange's biggest fan. Never really believed in him, but I don't want him to not finish the season on a high. I really want him to win this Europa League. I think we can as well. When I look at the teams that are left, as long as we get it together, we can do some damage in that competition. So I'm not trying to look anything past the Thursday and see us going through, and then obviously seeing what happens on the other side in terms of who we play in the quarters. So with that being said, yeah, I think I kind of disagree with what Formz are saying about Poch. I think Poch did a really good job at Chelsea. They were a mess when he got there. They had so many players in that changing room, in that dressing room. They were just buying players left, right, and centre. It's not like Poch was out, earmarking players and saying, I need this guy, this guy, this guy. They were just throwing players at him, signing players on long 7-year, 8-year contracts, and pretty much saying, this is what you got to work with. And that's why Poch, he got them 6. They finished 2 points behind us, and you got to remember the season before how bad they were. So he kind of stabilized and steadied that ship, and then they parted ways on mutual consent, because I just don't think he was happy with what was going on there. I think he's a great manager, brilliant coach. I'm not sure if it's right for him to come back though. That's the thing, but I do think he is a top manager. Other than that, you got your Iriolas, your Franks, and I don't know, man. Hopefully these guys can actually find the next gem out there in Europe, because when I look at the managers that are available, there's not many good ones, and you're going to have to poach someone from a club, and are they going to want to come to Tottenham right now? That's the question.
No, 100%. Sorry, I was reading a question, a statement in the chat. And obviously, Jay is not watching the podcast because he's currently out playing snooker. But I've been drilled into me that Pochettino didn't win anything at Spurs. So that's why he doesn't want him back. And the thing is, as much as I love Poch and the glory days he gave us, I think you always look forward, not back. And I think that's why we just need to kind of get on with it. I mean, it's my fault because I brought it up. But anyway, it's been a great chat tonight. Obviously, talk about Bournemouth. Hopefully, come Thursday, we are still in the Europa League, because my word, I do not want to know what it's going to be like after that if we do lose it, because it will not be fun. But anyway, it's been a great evening tonight to do a little therapy session with you guys. So we'll go around the table, say our goodbyes, and where we can all find ourselves. So first of all, Formz, thank you once again for joining me tonight. Where can everybody find you doing your thing?
Just type in Formz anywhere you want to find me, and I'll be there. I've also got my first headline show of the year in London, 16th of April. So anywhere you find me, the ticket link will be in my bio. It's my biggest headline show to date, so it'd be nice to see as many of you there as possible. Thanks,
Lovely, lovely. No, thank you, Formz. Really appreciate it. Lovely stuff. And also, as well, Patrick, it's amazing to have you back on again tonight. Where can everybody find you doing your thing?
Yeah, no, it's been a pleasure, man. Thank you for having me on. At Patrick Tyrant, right there. You'll find me on Twitter and Instagram. So yeah, that's where you'll find me.
Lovely stuff. Thank you, Patrick. And also, Harry, it's been amazing to have you on tonight. You've smashed it, mate. So where can everybody find you?
Thank you for having me on. Yeah, thank you very much. So I run the Spurs Direct page on Instagram. Briefly started it during lockdown, but then obviously had exams and stuff. So it just now I've sort of taken it back up again. But I study journalism and podcasting at the moment, so that's something I run in my free time, which is a massive help. So Instagram is the best place to find me. Spurs Direct is the username. So a follow would be greatly appreciated.
Awesome stuff, Harry.
Thank you.
Awesome. There you go. No, like I say, Harry, you smashed it tonight, so thank you very much. Make sure you go follow these guys, do what they're all doing as well. Thank you again to everybody that's tuned in tonight, that's been watching this live, that's going to go and rewatch this. Like I say, the Hotspur Huddle will be back on Wednesday, where Wes and Nelson will be joining me. I will actually stick to my guns this week and actually turn up for that one. And then Hollie's Hotspurs Live will be back next Monday. So hopefully we'll be in high spirits because we're still in the Europa League and we have won at the weekend. Here's to hoping. But like I say, make sure you like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. Go follow these guys. And until next time, come on, you Spurs.